I'm Jacob Courtwright, and this is The Locker Room. Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Locker Room Podcast. Today, we have a very special episode. We have the adventures of Young Mantis and J Money. That is right. Young Mantis himself will be back later in the show today. Make sure you stick around. I'm excited for that. We have a very fun segment planned for you. And yeah, I've nicknamed myself J Money. All right, get over it. The options were King J, because that's what I used to call myself in middle school, like a moron. J Court, which is what I call myself now, or J Money. But J Money just seemed like it went so well along with Young Mantis. But very excited to have Young Mantis on with us today. Before we get started, make sure you follow The Locker Room on Twitter, TLR with Jacob, on Instagram, The Locker Room Podcast 615, and on Facebook, The Locker Room host Jacob. Let's go ahead and get into the show. All right, well, where else do we really start today than with college football? Just announced actually 5 minutes ago, the Big Ten has officially canceled their football season. They will attempt to play in the spring. Several other conferences have already canceled their football season this week. I know a lot of teams, or a lot of conferences, the Pac-12 are voting this week. The SEC is voting this week. There's a couple other big conferences that are voting this week on whether to have the season, to postpone the season. So my thoughts on that, starting off, first and foremost, are you joking? With college football, we have the luxury of these kids being on a campus. We have the luxury of these football players coming from somebody who's played in the college realm. You're put in a football dorm. You're around your brothers. You're not going around. You're not running around. Now, I know that there's a lot of outside things, but a lot of these players during football season are really locked into the football season. They're not running around and going to parties. They're usually on pretty good lockdown from their coaches. They have a very strict schedule that they have to maintain during the football season, so it's not like these players have a whole lot of free time. If there's ever a sport that we can quarantine and take care of, it's college football. These players are going to be quarantined in their dorms, or they should be. These coaches can be quarantined in the football dorms, or they should be. We have a much easier path of maintaining college football than we do really any other fall sport. Most college athletes should be able to play. We should be able to quarantine them. We should be able to have them on lockdown and take care of it, kind of like the NBA is doing with Orlando. You know, it should run with the same protocols as kind of the Orlando bubble does. If you have to leave college campus for any reason, that's not coach approved or that's not school approved, you must quarantine for 10 to 14 days. You must continually be tested. Now, I do realize that a big part of this is probably cost with the tests, the amount of money that it's going to take to have to test these people, these players and these young student athletes every single day or every other day, however they would do it. So I do understand that there is a money factor in that. But if we're really going to push forward and try and have the college football season, most of these colleges, I know a lot of the smaller colleges, and they won't have the capability of doing that because they don't have the money resources. The SEC, the Pac-12, the Big Ten, these schools have those money resources. They should be able to pay, especially teams like Alabama. They have the money resources to pay for the tests. They have the money resources to make sure that these kids can stay on campus, can stay quarantined. College football has the easiest route to come back because, like I said, these players can be quarantined into a dorm. These players can be quarantined on a practice field. Their schedules are pretty tight in and of itself. It's not like these kids are going to have a whole lot of free time. Most college campuses aren't mandating that a lot of these incoming freshmen, returning sophomores or juniors or seniors even have to come back on campus. So you can shut down the campus. It can basically be the athletes, and we can still play college football. There is no reason on God's green earth that college football should not be played. I mean, damn it, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, even tweeted that the players should play. It's very damaging to these student athletes. It's damaging to these kids that are trying to get into the NFL. It's damaging these young ladies that are trying to get into the USA volleyball realm or pursue sand volleyball careers. It's very damaging. We have to be able to play college football, and there's easier ways to do it than what we're being told by the media, by these different schools, these different conferences. You can quarantine these kids. They're on a college campus. They have college dorms. Make all the football players have to stay in the football dorms. It's not like these dorms are going to be packed up with a lot of incoming students. A lot of these campuses are shutting it down to all these other students. So quarantine the football players. Quarantine the volleyball players. Quarantine these kids. If you have the money and you have the will, make sure that you have tests once a week or once every other week. Make sure you have protocols for if a kid leaves campus, if a kid does this, if a kid does that they're disciplined. They understand they can't play in Saturday's game. There's a lot of measures that these kids are going to take and that the coaches could take that could fix this problem that we're having right now, which is everybody's canceling the college football season. The Big Ten is canceled already. There's a lot of smaller conferences that have canceled already. It's said that the SEC and the Pac-12 will probably postpone its season to the spring, just like the Big Ten did later this week. These kids can play. We have the resources to quarantine them. We have the resources to test them. Take advice from the NFL. As of right now, the NFL said that they are playing. There's no way that they're not playing. The NFL has taken precautionary steps. The NFL is clearly doing it the right way. They're testing them. Take steps from all these other organizations that are making it work. Go sit down with Adam Silver in the NBA. Now, I understand that they're in a more unique situation because they really are confined to the campus, but they're also doing a lot of external stuff to help this the spread of COVID slow down and to keep the season going. We have the ability to play the college season. Without a doubt, at least the Power 5 conferences have the ability. Now, I understand some of these smaller schools, the smaller schools, the Division 2s, even the smaller Division 1s, they might not be able to have the resources or the money to go forward, and that is horrible, and they should be granted an extra year of eligibility so that way they're not losing this season. But these big Power 5 schools can play. They have the money. They have the resources. We understand what to do. Go to outside sources like the NFL. Go to outside sources like the NBA. See what they're doing right. Apply that to the college game, and let's have a season. There is no reason with the amount of resources, the amount of knowledge that we have about COVID-19, that the Power 5 conferences are not on a field on Saturday. Let these kids play. You're going to damage their future careers in the NFL. You're going to damage not only the school in the upcoming years, but you could crash a lot of these smaller schools' football, their boosters and clubs that don't have the giant money. You're going to crash a lot of these teams if you're not careful. Without a doubt, these kids should play. You know who hasn't canceled their season and actually came out today and said that for sure they're playing? The Sun Belt Conference. That's right, the Sun Belt Conference. You know who I'm a fan of now? Louisiana Tech, North Texas. Come on, give me some Rice, Middle Tennessee, Old Dominion, Marshall, Western Kentucky, FIU. Don't make me be a Louisiana Tech fan for the year, please. Don't make me be a North Texas fan for the year. Or a UTSA. Come on. Come on, Power 5 conferences. Come on. Big Ten, I could care less if you play. I mean, if I'm being honest. I'm an Oregon Ducks fan, so I'm not a huge fan of Ohio State in general after what they've done to us the last couple meetings. But, come on. You can play Power 5 conferences. If the Sun Belt Conference can play, if Louisiana Tech can play, if North Texas can play, then you can definitely play. Without a doubt. Congrats to the Sun Belt Conference on being the first conference to really step up and grow a pair and let the world know, hey, our players are here, we're playing, we're not going to let these players, run around. They're going to make sure that they're taken care of. Health is a priority. If there's any outbreaks, they're going to take care of it, which is what every conference should be doing right now. But without a doubt, we have the means to play. There's no reason for us not to play, and the Sun Belt Conference is playing. So my advice to the Power 5 conferences is get your act together, sit down in a room, and figure it out. Because if the Sun Belt Conference can do it, you can too. So my conclusion, I don't believe we're going to have a college football season. I don't understand why we can't stay in conference. I don't understand why we can't play. We should be able to play. We should be able to have these players on the field. We're damaging a lot of these kids that have hopes to go to the NFL. We're damaging a lot of these incoming kids who are now going to have to sit another year. Coming from someone who's been in the college football realm and played as an incoming freshman, if I know that I'm still going to have to wait a year before I'm probably even going to be looked at because a lot of people are returning, it's very discouraging to a lot of these young kids, and you're going to have a lot of washout throughout the 18 to 19-year-olds that are coming in and now finding out, well, you're not going to be able to start your training now. You're going to have to wait another year before you're even going to be looked at to be on the field. I think it's damaging in areas that a lot of people aren't thinking about. I don't think we're going to have a college football season. The Sun Belt Conference very well might say that they're without a doubt playing, but I don't know how many other conferences are going to say we're playing too and give the Sun Belt Conference, any rivalry or even say that they're going to play. So, I mean, we all might just be watching North Texas versus Louisiana Tech every Saturday from here until the end of the college football season and have no bowl game. Which, at the end of the day, football is football, and football will always reign, especially in America. But, I just think it's damaging to the players. It's going to be damaging to a lot of these smaller schools that don't have the money or the markets for the college football to not be there. That's an income that a lot of these smaller schools rely on. I don't like it for the players. I don't like it for the coaches. We have a safe way of doing it. We have a safe way of moving forward. We have people like the NBA and the NFL that we can look up to and really take things from. We have a way of quarantining these players. It's going to take dedication by the players, the coaches, and by a lot of these big conferences to say, hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it the right way. Do I think we're going to have a college football season? No, I don't. Do I hope that changes? Absolutely, because I can't go a Saturday without watching the Ducks. Literally, as I was just saying that, I just got a message that the Pac-12 has officially canceled all fall sports for the season. They're hoping to return in 2021 is what the note says. So like I said, college football is not going to happen this year. No matter how much some of these smaller conferences say that they're going to play, I do not believe that they're going to have that opportunity. And this hurts. This hurts not having college football. All right, well, enough about football. Let's go ahead and segue into the NBA. All right, so we're at award season now. So I'm going to go through my MVP of the regular season, my defensive player of the year, my rookie of the year, and the NBA commissioner has now come out and announced that there will be a bubble MVP. So I'm going to kind of give you my rundown. I'm going to ask Mantis this question a little bit later in the show. First and foremost, MVP of the regular season, my MVP goes to LeBron James. LeBron James is doing what no player has ever done in year 17 of his career. LeBron James has led the Los Angeles Lakers to the number 1 seed in the West. So we always heard he was the best of the East. Now he's beating the best of the West. Number 1 in the West. Number 1 in assists. He's 25 points per game. 9 rebounds. 10 assists. Someone that's almost averaging a triple-double at year 17, in my opinion, deserves to be the MVP. Now, I do understand why Giannis will win the award, but LeBron is definitely my choice for MVP. This generation really likes to focus on, and this is not only this generation as in this age of young person, but this generation of sports voters, they like to focus on the now and the exciting as opposed to what is consistent, what's been dominant, and take into all the considerations, all the surrounding stakes. We don't take into the account that LeBron James is in year 17. We don't take into the account that LeBron James switched conferences and now is the number 1 team in the West and now is leading his team to a championship run. All we see is that Giannis is putting up 37 points a game. Don't get me wrong, that is incredible. I think the MVP stands for something that's more than best offensive player in the league. The best offensive player in the league this year is Giannis. Giannis is the most talented offensive player in the league, scoring-wise. He has shown it through and throughout this whole season.